Israel Adesanya lost his middleweight crown at UFC 281 recently in what was a devastating fifth-round knockout loss. And since then, plenty of those around the fight game have had their say on what's next for Izzy. None more so than the king of cringe himself, Henry Cejudo. Today we're discussing Cejudo's advice, plus a statement issued by referee Marc Goddard after some accused him of stopping the fight early. Stay with us. First up, Alex Pereira has a post-fight message for Izzy. As Adesanya lost his title last weekend, the excuses quickly started, with Stylebender claiming referee Marc Goddard stopped the fight early. However, Alex Pereira has a different take on how things played out and has encouraged the former champions to stop complaining. At the post-fight press conference, Adesanya insinuated that he would have preferred to have been knocked out completely, saying, "My ego would say at least let me go out on my shield," before adding that he has seen worse stoppages. He then joked that the UFC should bring back Steve Mazzagatti, but the newly crowned champion isn't having it. Pereira actually believes that Goddard saved him from serious injury. After hearing Adesanya's protestations, Alex took to Instagram to tell Izzy that he would get another chance in the future. He also said Adesanya stopped making excuses, saying the referee stopped the fight early. You have to thank him for saving your life, which, considering how Izzy's defenses were completely down in the midst of Pereira's onslaught, might have a little truth to it. Poatan then suggested that he only needed another 1 or 2 hits, and it would have been good night for the former champ. However, he did acknowledge that Adesanya was a great opponent, before then alluding to the fact that the rematch will be up next. Do you guys think Izzy will wrestle his belt back from Alex in the rematch? Let us know what you think below. Joe Rogan has been discussing Izzy now. Stick around. Of course, when a champion loses his belt, everyone has their say, and Joe Rogan is no different. In the wake of Adesanya's post-fight press conference and initial reaction to losing his belt, Rogan has claimed that the Nigerian Kiwi has handled the loss better than anyone else in history. As we know, when fighters lose, they often come out with excuses and reasons as to why they lost. And although Adesanya did appear to blame Marc Goddard for what he thinks was an early stoppage, he later seemed at peace with the decision, something which Rogan has praised him for. Speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast earlier this week with Steve O, the world's most successful podcaster said, "Dude, the way he responded to that loss is better than anybody ever." He went on to explain how impressive it was that Izzy turned up at the presser with a fur coat and an expensive watch on, to ultimately humble himself by admitting, "He got me." Rogan went on, "He basically said the hunter is now the hunted. I'm coming after him. I'm going to find a way to beat that dude. I was on my way to beating him, and he got me." Whilst then praising his honesty, Rogan also agreed with the Marc Goddard stoppage, saying that nobody needed to see the former champ with his eyes rolling back in his head. We agree. Next up, Robert Whittaker has been on. Stay with us. There was one middleweight more interested than most watching on eagerly last weekend in the shape of former champion Robert Whittaker. Of course, Izzy is Rob's kryptonite and has beaten him twice now, much like Alex is Adesanya's boogeyman. And Whittaker believes that a matchup with him and Alex is perfect for him stylistically. That huge Pereira right hand single-handedly opened up the middleweight division, and those in the top 10 who viewed Adesanya as unbeatable are now chomping at the bit for a crack at Alex. One of those, of course, is Rob, who is next out against Paulo Costa in February, who has claimed that the new champion is a better matchup for him than Izzy is. Adesanya has had Whittaker's number in both of their fights, and Rob has had a tough time figuring that particular puzzle out. But he believes that Alex's style, the way he stands, and the way he likes to push forward is perfect for him. However, he did point out that Pereira is a huge middleweight, describing the champion as a giant, but at the same time, he revealed that he still thinks he could get the better of him. Whittaker absolutely battered Marvin Vettori last time out to easily solidify himself as the closest thing to Adesanya. Well, that was before Alex leapfrogged the division, but the title changing hands is certainly the best outcome for Rob. What do you guys think? Adesanya has received a comforting message from Team Ali now. Stick around. Muhammad Ali was probably the best boxer ever until Floyd Mayweather came around. So when the legendary boxers teamed team sends you a heartfelt message, it's kind of a big deal. Of course, the great man passed away a few years back, but his memory lives on in the form of a dedicated team who still promote the boxer's memory via charitable organizations and such. And after losing out to Pereira last weekend, Izzy received a beautiful tribute, which he posted to his Instagram account. It quoted Ali's words of the day after his loss to Joe Frazier back in 1971, in which he explained it's a good feeling to lose, whilst also saying you got to set an example of how to lose. Adesanya captioned the letter with a message which read, "Got this gift from the greatest of all time's team. The compliments I got from them about dealing with this weekend filled me with pride. Thank you for this gift, oh great one. I will always be inspired by your spirit, forever." Of course, this is a lovely touch by Team Ali, and it will be interesting to see what Izzy does next. What did you guys make of the letter? So what has Henry been saying? Let's see. Of course, Henry Cejudo was always going to comment on Izzy losing the title last weekend. I mean, nothing happens in MMA without him airing his opinion. The former two-weight champion, who has turned himself into a bit of a parody over the past couple of years, believes Adesanya should now take an extended period out of the game to recalibrate. Triple C, as he calls himself, thinks Adesanya needs a break and claims that he should step aside and let former champion Robert Whittaker have the next run of the title. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Cejudo urged Izzy to take a year off, adding, "Let's make your comeback memorable. If I was in Israel's position, I would just take the back seat, cause he is 0-3 against the guy. If Alex beats him again, dude, he's almost snatching Israel's legacy, from kickboxing to the sport of MMA." And whilst Henry Cejudo is often derided for having sometimes outlandish opinions, you can't really argue with him on this one. Henry thinks that Izzy could also benefit from some time off to develop his ground game even further. He showed a little bit of wrestling against Pereira, but to be able to beat him, he could certainly improve this aspect of his game. Henry then suggested that Rob is the biggest threat to the division now, describing a fight between him and new champ Pereira as compelling. Do you guys agree with Cejudo? And finally, Marc Goddard has spoken out. Goddard was the man who rescued Israel Adesanya from further punishment last weekend, as he waved off the fight in the fifth after a huge right from Pereira landed. He undoubtedly saved him from further punishment, but of course you can't please everybody, and Adesanya and his sycophants instantly claimed the fight had been stopped too soon. And this week, Goddard has addressed the situation, explaining that protection is paramount. Izzy appeared on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour podcast earlier this week, where he seemed to have relaxed his views a little and admitted that he didn't blame Goddard for the stoppage. However, he then said that he was fine, but anyone watching the fight could see otherwise. The role of the referee is obviously to protect the fighters, no matter how tough or willing to go out on their shield they may be. And Goddard has made that point this week as he thanked people who understand the role in which we play. The British ref added, "Decisions are over the second they are made. The conscience lives forever. Honored, blessed, and thankful. On the biggest stage there is, of the fighters, for the fighters, they remain the king." Anyone who is criticizing Goddard for that stoppage either doesn't care about Adesanya's safety or literally doesn't understand the game. He undoubtedly saved Izzy from a serious concussion, KO, or even worse, a prolonged stay in the hospital. Give us your thoughts on Goddard's statement below. As always, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to stop by again next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid by liking today's video, whilst also sharing it with any MMA heads you might know of. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Bye guys.